right, you ready to dive into some Dark Souls today?
Oh yeah, always up for a good lore deep dive.
This is going to be fun. We're taking a look at Dark Souls 3 this time. We've got some choice excerpts from the wiki lined up, focusing on some really cool spots like, Firelink Shrine, obviously, where every good adventure begins, right?
Yeah.
And then that first time you step out onto the high wall of Lothric and you're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm in for.
And trust me, when they say it's a deep dive, they mean it. The lore in this game can be pretty dense.
Yeah, no kidding. But that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
To kind of untangle it all. And whether you're a seasoned veteran or you're still finding your way around Lordran, I think there's something here for everyone.
Absolutely. Dark Souls lore is like an onion, layers upon layers of secrets and hidden meanings.
Speaking of layers,
Yeah.
you know what always gets me about Firelink Shrine? It's like that one comfy spot in a world gone completely mad.
It's that safe haven in a sea of darkness, the flickering light and the oppressive dark. We all need a Firelink Shrine in our lives, right?
I hear that. And it's not just a static place either. It changes as you progress. At first, it's just you and maybe a couple of other lost souls huddling around the bonfire. But as you overcome challenges, more and more people start showing up, seeking refuge. It's like the game is mirroring that feeling of community you find online.
I love that. You're so right. It's that sense of shared struggle, shared purpose that really brings people together.
Which brings us to pushing forward out of that safe haven and into, well, let's be honest, certain doom.
Yeah, good luck out there.
Yeah, seriously though, remember that feeling when you first step out onto the high wall of Lothric. You leave the relative safety of Firelink Shrine and bam, you're thrown right into the thick of it with a fire-breathing wyvern perched on the wall like, hey, welcome to Lothric. How's your dodging?
Talk about a trial by fire, right? That encounter is such a perfect microcosm of the whole Dark Souls experience. Observe, adapt, overcome, or die trying, preferably not too many times.
And that's just the gameplay. We haven't even scratched the surface of the lore yet. It makes you wonder, though, if the lore wasn't so well hidden, would it be as much fun to uncover?
It's like those really good Easter eggs. You know, the ones you have to work for.
Yeah, the payoff is always sweeter when you've earned it.
It's true, though, isn't it? There's something about having to piece the story together yourself that just makes it stick with you that much more.
It's like you're not just playing the game, you're living it.
Exactly.
Which brings us to, I think, the biggest question mark for a lot of players. The whole linking the fire thing.
Ah, yes. The eternal struggle.
I'll be honest, the first time I played through Dark Souls 3, I kind of just glossed over most of the lore. I was too busy trying not to die.
Uh-huh. It happens. It's a lot to take in.
It wasn't until later when I actually sat down with the wiki
Yeah.
and really dug into it that I was like, oh wow, this actually goes deep.
You and me both.
So for those who maybe haven't had their big lore revelation yet,
Let me enlighten you.
hit us with it. What's the deal with linking the fire?
Okay, so in a nutshell, the world of Dark Souls is kind of stuck in this loop, right, between the Age of Fire and the Age of Dark.
And I'm guessing the Age of Dark isn't exactly sunshine and rainbows.
Not really, no. It's more like darkness and, more darkness.
So what's keeping the darkness at bay?
That's where the Lords of Cinder come in.
Those names always sounded so ominous, like figures straight out of legend.
Oh, they are legends, but their stories are usually pretty tragic. See, these lords, they sacrifice themselves to rekindle the first flame, which keeps the Age of Fire going for a bit longer.
So they're like these reluctant heroes, giving up their very being to hold back the darkness.
You could see it that way, but it's not always that simple. Some lords do it out of duty, some out of fear, some just to cling to a shred of power.
Wow, so we've got a whole spectrum of motivations here.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so interesting, right? Are they doing the right thing, or are they just delaying the inevitable?
And speaking of inevitable endings and clinging to what's lost,
We're about to get real philosophical up in here.
let's talk about hollowing.
Ah, yes. The fate that awaits us all.
Or at least those of us who lose our way.
It's more than just dying and losing your souls, right?
It's about losing your sense of purpose, becoming an empty shell.
And that's something I think we can all relate to on some level.
Yeah, it's like that feeling when you hit a wall in life and you're not sure what you're fighting for anymore.
You start questioning your goals, your motivations, your very existence.
And that's where the real danger lies, right? Because in those moments of doubt,
It's easy to fall into despair, to become hollow.
and Dark Souls isn't afraid to show us the consequences of that despair.
It's a powerful message, don't you think? Even in a game about slaying gods and demons.
Absolutely. But you know what's even more interesting than the despair?
The characters who manage to resist it.
The ones who find a reason to keep fighting even in the face of oblivion.
Speaking of which, have you met our old pal Patches yet?
Oh, Patches. Yeah, that lovable rogue. You gotta hand it to him. He always knows how to make an entrance.
Right. Usually involves a trap of some sort.
Oh, absolutely. But hey, at least he keeps things interesting.
That's one way to put it. But I think there's more to Patches than meets the eye.
You think so? I mean, he's tried to kill me like a dozen times.
True. But he's also helped you out on occasion. Remember that time?
Okay, yeah, he's tossed me a few life rafts.
Yeah.
But I always get the feeling he gets some kind of twisted pleasure out of it.
I think that's part of his charm, honestly. You never know if he's going to be your best friend or your worst enemy.
And somehow that makes him weirdly endearing.
It's Dark Souls, baby. The line between friend and foe is always a bit blurry.
And Patches isn't the only one walking that line,
Right?
right? I mean, think about Greyrot. This little guy is out there risking his neck to bring you treasure.
He's got a good heart, that Greyrot, even if he is a bit reckless.
And then there's Yoel offering you power at a price. Talk about a deal with the devil.
But is it really a deal with the devil, or is he just trying to help you survive in this messed up world?
Good point. And then there's Yuria, shrouded in all that mystery.
Her story is what I'm still trying to piece together.
I feel like we only get these tiny glimpses into their lives.
And yet, those glimpses are enough to make you realize that every character in this world has a story to tell.
It's like that line about Lothric, the transitory lands converge. It's like the whole world is collapsing in on itself.
Yeah, it gives you this sense of vastness, like you're just scratching the surface of something ancient and unknowable.
Especially when you consider places like Archdragon Peak with the sun and moon hanging in the sky at the same time.
What's that all about, right?
It's enough to make your head spin. But that's what I love about Dark Souls. It doesn't give you all the answers,
It invites you to ask questions, to come up with your own theories.
and to argue about them endlessly with your friends.
It's all part of the fun, right?
Absolutely. Well, I think we've kindled the first flame of knowledge for today.
Hopefully, we haven't hollowed out our listeners' brains in the process.
If you're still with us, congratulations. You've survived another deep dive. Until next time, remember, embrace the darkness. But don't forget to kindle your own flame.